Welcome to another electrifying episode of Fed by Fire. I'm your host, Christian, and tonight we're plunging deep into the high-octane underworld of what we know to be called armored truck heist. These aren't just crimes, they're symphonies of audacity, precision, and sheer nerve that have left law enforcement reeling and the public riveted over the last several years. From 2020 to now, armored truck robberies have surged in cities across America, turning everyday cash transports into a potential lick or battleground. We're talking millions vanished in broad daylight, insiders turning into a trader, and crews that vanish like smoke. And we'll unpack the most prolific ones, starting with the record-shattering Easter heist that happened in Los Angeles that brought in almost 30 million without a single alarm bell ringing. Then crisscrossed to Philadelphia's relentless 2025 spree that had the FBI posting rewards and the city on lockdown. But we won't stop there. We'll hit Chicago's explosive rise in 2023, Washington, D.C.'s gang-linked hits, and echoes from Houston, Las Vegas, and beyond. These stories aren't just about the loot, they're about human drama, the chases, the betrayals, and the unbreakable vaults that somehow got broken. So do me a favor, grab your coffee. This is going to be a long, twisting ride on Fed by Fire. Let's rewind the clock to one of the most brazen burglaries in the U.S. history. A capper so slick it could have been scripted by Ocean's 11. Danny Ocean himself. The date was March 31st, 2024. It was Easter Sunday to be exact. While families across Los Angeles were hunting for eggs and sharing ham dinners like most of us do, a crew of elite thieves was orchestrating what would become the largest cash heist in the city's history. And, their target, a Garda World facility in Slimar, a warehouse in the sleepy San Fernando Valley that looks like a storage unit than a fortress holding fortunes. Garda World, for those unfamiliar, is no small player. They are a Canadian-based security behemoth with operations in over 45 countries, employing more than 132,000 people and handling billions in cash flows annually for banks, retailers, ATMs, and this place was supposed to be impenetrable. Motion sensors, surveillance cams, reinforced vaults, the whole nine, round-the-clock monitoring, but on this night, it met its match. So imagine the scene. It's around 11:30 p.m. The facility shrouded in darkness, no forced entry at the doors, no amateur sledgehammer or crowbar type shit. Instead, these pros go vertical. They scale the building and cut a precise hole in the roof, rappelling down like special forces operatives into the heart of the operation. And once they were inside, they navigate the labyrinth of security with the area and the alarms. They use a brief trigger around midnight. It was dismissed as a false positive, perhaps jammed with high-tech interference or bypassed via insider intel, but they reached the vault, a massive steel chamber stacked with pallets of nice, crisp bills from weekend collections, cracking it without explosives or heavy tools. That's where the sophistication shines in here. And maybe electronic overrides, drill pins, or duplicated key cards, whatever the method was, they haul out with up to 30 million in unmarked cash, stuffing it into duffels, carts, then they vanish through the rooftop portal, sealing it behind them to delay the discovery. The crime isn't uncovered until Monday morning. Employees arrive, punch in like a normal day, and open the vault only to find a gaping emptiness where millions should be. So panic ensues. They call up the LAPD, the FBI agents swarming the scene. The aerial drones capture a plywood covered hole on the building side, but the real ingress was from above. Investigators dub it seamless and sophisticated, eclipsing the infamous 1997 Dunbar armored robbery in LA, which netted $18.9 million and held the record for decades. No fingerprint, no DNA trails, no witnesses. Rumors fly. Wasn't an inside job, a disgruntled employee leaking the layouts and the codes, or sophisticated international ties laundering the hall through crypto or offshore accounts. As of early 2026, the case still remains unsolved, with the FBI offering rewards and sifting through tips. That $30 million, it's out there, buddy. Fueling black markets or buried in somebody's backyard. In a city built on dreams, this heist turned security into nightmares into reality. But LA's Easter miracle for thieves was just one peek into a national wave. So let's jet to East Philadelphia, where in 2025 became the year of the armored truck ambush, a prolific spree that terrorized drivers and racked up millions in losses. Over mere months, this wasn't a single score, it was a calculated campaign with at least 5 hits from June to August, plus attempts stretching into fall, all bearing hallmarks of organized crews, stolen vehicles, mass firearms, and lightning-fast executions. The FBI and Philly PD linked them, offering $10,000 in rewards and releasing grainy surveillance stills of the hooded figures. But why Philly? Dense urban grids for quick escapes, easy highway access, who knows? And perhaps a vulnerability in armored routes exposed by insiders. Our story starts on June 21st, 2025 in Port Richmond, behind a Home Depot on Castor Avenue. Around 8 a.m., a Brinks truck idles its drivers, handling routine pickups like you would any other day. And suddenly, 3 armed men in tactical gear swarm up like wolves with AR-style rifles drawn, forcing the driver to the ground, snatching his keys and his company-issued firearm. One guard, the victim, and the others raid the truck, emerging with bags totaling over $2 million in cash. They flee in a stolen vehicle, ditching it blocks away. But this one had a twist to it. It was an inside job. Trayvon Jackson, 31, a former Brinks employee, fired weeks earlier, allegedly masterminded with a man named Brian Wallace, 31, and Deshaun Hughes Murchison, 30. All Philly locals. Jackson knew the schedules, knew the weak points, the payloads, but the federal charges followed. The robbery interfering with interstate commerce and firearm use in a violent crime, all a recipe for disaster. Arrest came in August, but much of the cash is still missing. Perhaps squirreled away in safe houses or spent on lavish lifestyles. The hits kept rolling. 5 days later, June 26, a Loomis truck outside of an Aldi's on Whitaker Avenue falls prey, and 2 suspects armed en masse grab thousands and bolt once again in a brown Nissan Altima. Stolen, of course. July 2nd, Brinks again on Frankfurt Avenue. 3 perhaps disarm the driver, snag his gun, and escape in a silver Honda Accord. Then a foiled attempt in Romer mid-July. I probably butchered that, but it didn't happen the way it wanted to, and they left empty-handed. The big one hits on August 12th in Chelita Township, just outside of Philly at 10:30 a.m. In an H Market parking lot, two gunmen ambush a female Brinks truck driver and demand her weapon and ransack the truck for over $700,000 to $800,000 in cash. In the bags, no injuries, but the trauma lasting. They speed off, this time in a black Dodge Durango. Another hot ride, same MO. The spree escalates though into October. An attempt at a Wawa in Holmesburg on the 17th with 4 suspects immortalized in FBI photos. Another in Winfield Heights on the 5th leads to a high-speed chase, and the 3 arrest patterns emerge. Stolen cars with tinted windows, Nissans, Hondas, Acuras, often the same victims in separate thefts, and investigators suspect copycats or a loose network inspired by the initial success. But the total haul was millions, with guards left with PTSD and companies beefing up protocols. Philly's 2025 became a cautionary tale in a city of brotherly love. Some brothers were out there for the Benjamins. Now, let's pivot to the Windy City. We're talking Chicago. Chicago saw an armored truck robbery explosion between 2023 and 2024, tripling from the prior year. FBI data paints a grim picture over a dozen hits, many linked to serial crews using similar MOs like we were talking about before, ambushes at banks, ATMs, and stores. One stood out in December 2025 outside a Chase Bank on the South Anchor Avenue. Mid-morning, suspects approach a guard, guns blazing, and a shootout ensues. The guard is critically wounded, but survives. Of course, the cash is grabbed, the perps flee, and another reminder that these crimes do turn deadly fast. Earlier in 2023, 3 armored trucks hit in one day across Calumet City, Lansing, and Chicago. A Brinks robbery in Homewood at a BMO bank, another in Lansing with 3 armed men. Agents believed to be serial robbers are at play, scouting the routes and striking opportunities. Chicago's dense traffic and urban sprawl make them a perfect getaway with mazes, but the human cost, the guard shot, the family shattered, fuels massive manhunts. And we can't just ignore Washington, D.C., where in 2024 brought convictions for a gang-fueled series, and the members of Chapa City, William Brock, 33, Anthony Antoine McNair, 36, and Aaron Sheffney, 29, were found guilty in armed Brinks heists spanning multiple incidents, and these weren't random. They were conspired to hit trucks at gunpoint, netting thousands. Each time, Sheffy already facing murder charges elsewhere, exemplified the overlap between the heist and hardcore crime. The jury's verdict closed a chapter, but highlighted how street gangs diversify into high-stakes thefts, sprinkle in other hot spots. Houston dubbed the U.S. capital for armored hits, with dozens in 2013 and 2014 and a steady stream since, leading the nation from 2015 onward. Charlotte in August 2024, bringing 277,000 swiped from a Brinks truck in a grab and dash. Las Vegas, August 2025, a suspect on probation for a prior armored truck robbery strikes again, stealing 14,000. In 2018 echoes. And don't forget the 2022 Brinks theft, not cash, but $8.7 million in jewelry from a truck route into a trade show, and thieves sliced into the trailer at the top of the truck, and 7 were indicted in 2025 for the conspiracy spanning multiple heists. What fuels this epidemic? Cash, enduring allure in the digital world, vulnerabilities, aging fleets, and the one thrill outfoxing that's impressionable systems, but behind the glamour are real victims, guards facing barrels, families waiting for the news, and companies hiking insurance as tech evolves. Drones, AI are all tracking these crews, and they keep adapting. Keep the cat and mouse game alive. And that's our deep dive for this expanded episode of Fed by Fire. If these tales ignited your curiosity, share your theories below or subscribe for more. I'm Christian. Thanks for watching. Stay safe, stay dangerous. Good night, everyone. I'll catch y'all in the next one.